Hello. Let's talk today about the INFJ search for perfection and our idealistic view on things and the high standard that we hold ourselves and others, even though we know we can't even live up to our own high standards. And how we then get stuck in the dreaded NITI loop because of our own expectations of ourselves and others. So I made a little list of, it's actually not that little. I just sat down for a couple minutes and wrote down the things that I hold myself or attempt to hold myself to perfection and try to constantly improve. And now this trait can be a really good thing, trying to always find improvement and trying to achieve perfection, which is impossible, can really be a good thing. But it can also get us into trouble. So we'll talk a little bit about that. But I'll read my list first. And these are the things that I am constantly looking for improvement, trying to hold myself to a standard. You might hear a kitty purring because little Alice that you saw yesterday is right below me. So here's my list. My work, my clothing, my appearance, the way I speak, the cleanliness of my home, what I eat, what I feed my family, when I eat, my relationships, the feeding program for my critters, interactions with my family, the mood in my home, my relationship with God, YouTube videos and analytics, and how I perceive that the world perceives me. So all of these things are things that I'm always trying to improve. Now, in my work, you probably, if you have a hair colorist that is a perfectionist with her work, that's probably a good thing. I try to do exactly what my client has requested of me. I try to get it, just like the picture they bring me or just like what they described. And it's never good enough for me, even if they're perfectly content with what I've done, it's never good enough for me. While I'm blow drying their hair, I'm looking at every single strand and deciding that it wasn't bright enough, light enough, it's too light, it's too gold, it's too ashy, it's too whatever. Always just analyzing, and then you get stuck into this loop of like, what if she never comes back? What if she complains to all the people that she sees in the next 2 weeks, and then I lose my whole clientele base, and then I'm going to be financially ruined because I didn't get her hair color exactly perfect. And I go through this even if she is incredibly satisfied and comes back, in 8 weeks, I still go through this. And so that can be a good trait, but also I'm like destroying myself with the thinking and overthinking. And then with my clothing, it's got to fit just right. It's got to feel just right. It has to have the mood just right. It's kind of ridiculous. And, I don't think other people look at what I'm wearing, what someone else is wearing, and think about it that much. But for me, I've got to feel just right in it, whatever that means. And if I perceive while I'm out and about that whatever I was wearing caused someone else to have some kind of emotion that wasn't satisfactory to me, then I'm like, oh, I'm never wearing that again. And but with relationships, when you're holding yourself to this high moral standard of how you speak to people and how you make them feel, I kind of find that to be at a detriment because I'm holding myself to a standard that's impossible. Another person that I have a relationship with cannot be happy and feeling lovely all the time, and it isn't my fault if they're not. And I can't expect the people in my family to always be in a good mood so that the mood of my home isn't perfect, because I have this, expectation and this idealistic idea of what the mood in my home is going to be all the time, because I want it to be peaceful and harmonious and feel lovely and have everyone feel happy and satisfied with their life. And that isn't reality, but you get in this loop in your head that, maybe if I made some changes, and maybe if I reacted in a different way, and maybe they're feeling sad, and maybe it's my fault because I didn't do this and that and the other thing, and if I fixed this and I told them that, and ugh, you just get stuck in this constantly looping over and over craziness, and I end up taking on all of the responsibility for everyone's mood in my home. And if I don't enter my home, or when everybody comes home from work and school, if the feeling isn't peaceful and harmonious, then I'm immediately in my mind like, okay, what can I say to this person? What can I say to that person? What did I not say? And what did I not do today that made them feel the way that they're feeling? And that's where it gets us into trouble, because we're taking on responsibility for other people that we have no control over, their actions and their response to us and their response to whatever happened during their day. Of course, you can always, go into your insight and look and see if there is something that you can do. But especially when you're raising children, sometimes you have to let them kind of figure it out on their own. And that has really been a struggle for me, because I want to go in and fix their mood, fix the environment, move the furniture around if I have to, change the wall color because maybe that would make the house more peaceful. I don't know. And then, with my public persona and with this YouTube, I watch my videos back a few times, and there's always like all this, why did I have to say that? Why do I say so many vocal pauses like, or, or, the other things? And is my Midwest accent bothering people? That's the looping thing. But, I'm very, very comfortable in front of the camera now. And but it's still, when you watch it back, you still like pick it apart. And then reading analytics, I'm almost sorry that I downloaded the analytics app, because reading the analytics, it tells you every little thing, how long people watch. And then you're trying to figure out, like, how can I keep them watching longer? How can I keep them interested? Why did they unsubscribe? Why did they make that comment? And then you pick apart every comment. And how can I respond in a way that sounds intelligent, that sounds whatever? But that, that's kind of the loop that you get into. And now I was watching, I can't remember his name now, but I was watching a larger YouTuber that gets into, the cognitive functions. And he said it's important for us to have a relationship with a censor, because they're a little bit more rational. And and of course my husband is a censor, so you can kind of balance things out for you, because they're a little bit more rational. They don't do that looping. So if you can give them, not all of your loop, but a little bit of it, they can kind of talk sense into you. And I've always said that my husband was a good person for talking me off the cliff because I get into this like all or nothing. If I can't eat what I'm supposed to be eating to have perfect health, then I'm going to just eat whatever. There's this all or nothing. If I can't if I can't feed my chickens properly in the way that I've decided that they need this grain-free program, then whatever, I might as well just be giving them ground corn all the time. So I'm running out of camera space here. My battery's getting low, so we just want to wrap it up. But when you notice that you're starting to get into these loops, and there's certain things, and it might be helpful to write down all the things that you kind of struggle with, this perfectionistic, idealistic, and, bring them to another person that's a little bit more rational. Not that we're rational, not that we are irrational, because, I know that I think I have everything figured out all the time. And that's not the case. We don't know everything. We think we do, but we don't. So, get that list put together, sit down and look at the things, write down the things that you kind of obsess over, and maybe, sit down, listen with your intuition, listen for the voice of God to tell you, like, that thing you can let go. That thing does not need to be the main focus in your life. It ends up being like an obsession, like an idol, like, I need to apply my eyeshadow more perfectly. I gave up on my hair a long time ago. That does its own thing. But if you can write down that list and look it over and decide, like, you know, I need to let that go. I need to be a little bit more relaxed and not so uptight in those areas. And I think that's going to give us a lot of freedom. And I'm looking at this long list of things that loop in my head, and it's too much. It's too much pressure, and it makes me, you know, it definitely adds to that depression and that dreaded loop of over and over and over on things that I don't even have really a lot of control over. So think about that. Let me know the things that you obsess and idealize and perfectionistic yourself to death over. And I'll see you next time. Live and love out of the way you were created.